Oh, hi, it's Nick Trompf here, the Executive Chairman from Advance Cairns. We're putting together a series of videos to guide you through COVID-19, and I'm joined today by a couple of venerable gentlemen with great knowledge in John Hayward from Advance Cairns, now known as WGC Lawyers, and Darren Halpin, partner from Halpin Partners, Director from Halpin Partners. Welcome, gents. Good to see you.
Thanks, Nick. You too.
Obviously a challenging time in business planning. We're nearing the end of the financial year, and people are starting to project forward in terms of 21 and what they might do in their business plan. It's obviously a really different environment to any other year they've had to do sort of business planning in. So what sort of questions and considerations should the businesses be undertaking, Darren, as they think about their business planning process?
Look, I think you make a good point about June 30 coming up in 35 days. End of the year, people need to be planning that they may have had a good 6 or 9 months leading into March, and then they've had an ordinary April, May and June, and may have an ordinary next 6 or 12 months. And people will want to be trying to manage their tax for this year so that they don't have cash flow issues in March when the taxes are due next year. So I think that's a key piece to understand what people have made or what they will make come June 30. That's a key strategy that everyone should be looking at. Because if you get that wrong, it'll just burn cash later in the year. I think it's also about understanding, what debtors are collectible. That helps in that piece as well. And just getting your focus right around how you see your business evolving with your customers, with your financiers, and with your supply chains going forward. Because that will drive your June 30 tax strategy, and it will drive your cash flow for the next 12 or 18 months.
So some short-term decisions in the next few weeks that
yes.
could sting you in an immediate financial sense if you get them wrong.
Yes.
But also there's different considerations about supply chains, customers. There's a lot of uncertainty, obviously. We all wish we had a clear road ahead, but at the moment it's littered with uncertainty. So it's hard to anticipate precisely, but be as prepared as you can. John, any sort of thoughts you'd add to Darren's?
Probably two brief things, just picking up on what Darren said. I had a discussion with a client recently that the changes that have been introduced by the government recently in response to COVID, good for debtors, not so good for creditors. If you're owed money, your hands are tied to a greater extent than they were before. So when you're reviewing cash flow and looking at those receivables, the sort of pressure that you used to be able to bring to getting your bills paid isn't available anymore. The second thing, I suppose, is that don't just focus on the bad things that have happened. The response to COVID has brought about a lot of changes to the way we do business, and not all of them are bad. So use the time to consider, I suppose, the changes that are being forced upon you. When things go back to normal, how many of those are actually good that we want to keep beyond September?
Yeah, so capitalise on those opportunities. Some of those could be cost out opportunities, some of those could be new ways of working, give more flexibility for employees and so on.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's an interesting lens to look it through.
Yeah, I think it's given us all an opportunity to look at our whole business, look at our models and see, well, we've done it for 30 years this way. We never had the opportunity to review our model because we're already in the inertia of running our businesses. When they stop, it gives you a chance to stop, investigate, reassess, and then start again, maybe under a new or a different version of your old model. And there's a lot of good and bads that come out of this, like working from home. While it might seem productive, I know in our business, probably 4 or 5 of our team of 30 are still at home because it's too difficult and unproductive working at home. Some people are good at it, some people aren't good at working from home and being remote and everything being electronic. So that's one key. But I think also it's clear to understand that if you've got some government benefits, you need to understand how they're taxed. So JobKeeper is taxable, the cash flow boost is not, and knowing how that's going to impact on your bottom line profits come June 30. Critical.
Yeah, it's a good point. Remember at the early stages of this, the Prime Minister talked about hopefully the economy snapping back, and old V-shaped type recovery. As people are a couple of months gone since then, I think most people have probably given up on the V-shaped recovery. It is really uncertain, but when you're talking to your customers, you're getting a sense as to whether they see this as a very long and slow bump along the bottom, or that they might be able to pull out of it reasonably quickly when they get some certainty. Is there any pattern, or is it highly variable?
Look, I think from what we've seen, tourism it's tough, and it looks like it'll be,
Long and slow.
Farming looks to be solid. Hasn't been that greatly affected, apart from the labour shortages of maybe some backpackers and pickers. General service industries are going okay because the government's pumping all this money into the economy. The key is going to be when that money stops coming in from the government. What happens then? Because at the moment, with most people getting JobKeeper, most people in Cairns are probably earning more than what they were prior to JobKeeper coming in. So there's a bit of maybe a soft landing there for us at the moment. I'm hopeful that the government will see Cairns as being greatly affected, and I think the statistics show that we're one of the most affected cities in Australia, and we hope that the government helps us come down from September with some more funding, I think, because that'll help us, that'll help underwrite our future and employment. Because if you're in tourism, going from a revenue to no revenue is difficult to understand and manage, and it's real tough, and you can't restructure out of that.
John, any thoughts actually you'd like to take?
Same as Darren, I don't think it's a one size fits all. Different industries are responding differently. I think professional services are probably just as busy in a lot of respects as they were before.
Different type of work perhaps?
Yeah, possibly. I think like everyone at the moment, getting paid for the work you're doing is important. People are definitely feeling the pinch. Echoing what Darren said, I think the second wave is going to be come September, when the safety nets are taken away. What businesses are going to do then when that cash flow dries up?
Interested in your thoughts on scenario modelling. Even in our own budgeting here at Advance Cairns, we've put forward 3 scenarios to our board, a best, a likely and a doomsday scenario, because of the uncertainty. Is that the sort of thing that businesses should be doing as they're doing their budgeting and strategy for next year? 1, 2 or 3 scenarios? Because I'm not sure anyone's going to be able to pick the one that's spot on given the uncertainty we've got.
Look, I think so. It's just difficult doing that, right? Most businesses aren't equipped to do multiple levels of forecasting. Most businesses don't forecast, right? So that's a key learning that most businesses are having through this, is that they should be doing forecasting.
I was going to say that there's a new discipline there.
Correct.
They need to reach out to professional services firms for some guidance on that, because at least forecasting allows you to, okay, I've thought through that if revenues do this is how I'll react, as opposed to getting there going, revenues have done that, and now what do I do?
Yeah, and it's really about understanding what your major cost drivers are. Most are labour and cost of goods, right? And if you can understand what drives those and what you can do to influence the outcome if you have an upswing or a downturn in business after September, then you're ahead of the game. But there's no easy answer to that, right? Because you can't predict. No one can predict.
No.
I know that Advance Cairns and the Chamber and the local council and the federal and state members are working hard as a group to try and help bring forward projects and bring spending into the area, which is fantastic, and that'll help cushion any real downturn. Everyone, the beauty is, everyone's in the same boat, right? So it's not like it's just one business, it's every business in your sector has got the same challenges. So people should be becoming, I think, more open and talking with with their fellow industry participants and talking through, you know, what challenges they're having, what they're seeing, and maybe over time you can create some consensus to then talk to the likes of Advance Cairns or the Chamber or the members about getting help or guidance as an industry, not as a one-off, because the problem is that every business is affected by this.
Yeah.
So a person going to the government by themselves, the government's too busy for them. Whereas if you go as an industry,
Yes.
you've got more chance of getting an outcome.
Yeah.
And I think industries are becoming less competitive and more collaborative
Yeah.
to try and get through this. You know, and the tourism industry is the biggest one that they have to find a way to collaborate. There are boats will be going out to the reef empty, or they could be, and you can see that maybe they can start off steady, and I don't know how that's going to work. You know, collaboration's hard when you have debt and everyone's got the same pressures.
Yeah.
But if we can get some good leadership around that, there's a chance of businesses having a much easier step off the government handouts and into the real world come September, October or November.
Yeah, and there certainly has been a kindred spirit start to emerge in a crisis like this, and crises often make for interesting bedfellows, to use an expression, in the sense that competitors who once were at 20 paces with revolvers drawn now realise that no point fighting over a market share if it's zero. They're better off to work together in a coordinated way, naturally within Trades Practices Act guidelines.
Agreed, but the whole world's facing the same challenges.
Yeah.
And we're so lucky to be in Australia, and that's one of the resilient natures of an Australian, is that you know, you sit there and you wonder, if we were in a different country, right, how would we be handling it? London, US, you know, it'd be devastating. At least our country, our government's doing a good job and quite fiscally responsible. We've got capital, we've got good economic conditions, good people. You know, I'm quite confident about Australia coming out of this, having learnings, but coming out of it a bit stronger.
John, anything to add on that?
Oh, just one observation, Nick. Talking about modelling, forecasting, a lot of the organisations, sophisticated organisations that I've spoken to with their risk registers, no one foresaw
The pandemic.
what's happening and the catastrophic consequences of that.
Yes.
So the best planning in the world sometimes still doesn't, you know, prepare you for these extreme events.
Yeah, I did hear of one company this morning on the radio that had actually had pandemic insurance before the event. Runs out in June, but anyway, that was pretty, fair bit of foresight, because most insurance T's and C's say doesn't cover for it, but they've obviously gone out and done that in particular. There are opportunities, though, as we mentioned before, out of this. What sort of tips might you have for your customers in terms of how they might turn adversity into opportunity?
Look, I think it's just about attitude. It's about having an open mind. And if you've got capital, go out and look for opportunities. Make it known that you're looking for an opportunity, because there'll be a lot of people out there who, you know, have been fighting for years to run their business and to manage their cash flow, and there will be many opportunities to come into good businesses, help them recapitalise what they have got, take an equity stake, and create wealth for the new investor, and maintain some wealth for the existing business owner.
Yeah, that comes a bit back to that collaboration piece as well.
It does. It's a whole new world, right? And I think you've just got to identify the genuine, hard-working people. If you're going to invest with somebody, you know, we've all learned over many years, but the keys are invest with someone who's hard-working, who's focused, and is only doing one thing. You know, if they're out of the shop, then you've got very little chance of having success with that. If you've got a business owner that's focused, it's a good business, and needs some capital, that's a good investment. As long as it's in a good industry. But
yeah, John, are you starting to see that among some of your clients where they're consciously eyeing?
Seeing it amongst clients, but just seeing it generally amongst the community. A very simple example of the opportunities are in hospitality. restaurants, sit-down restaurants. There's been some very successful instances of takeaway options from some of the more better known restaurants around town, and picks up on what you both said before about the Cairns community embracing something different, something that's being offered. So plenty of examples of that.
Yeah, cool. I think a lasting message really is for the Cairns business community that there are opportunities out there. It is a long and difficult road, but pulling together as a sum of our parts is going to be key to getting through and emerging from this crisis. Can I just say thanks very much, Darren, Halpin and John Hayward. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.